everybody, welcome to Elisa's Art Room. Today we're going to be working on a painting. So I'm going to start a painting with this whitetail buck. This reference is by photographer Don Barrick. Sorry, it's backwards. He gave me permission to paint his wonderful photograph. And we're going to get started on this and just make sure the volume is okay. Y'all come in and say hi. We are currently live on Facebook if you see the little red button at the top left. If not, your kitchen replay either here or over on YouTube. So I haven't done a painting in a while. And I decided it's about time I did one. So we're doing this. And this has actually ended up being a commission piece because as soon as I showed it to my friend, she was like, I'll buy that. So it is now a commission piece. She's bought several of my paintings over the years and mostly the deer because she has a bunch of deer in her yard and so she loves them. But anyway, so we're going to attempt this. Like I said, I haven't done painting in a while. I'm a little nervous. I don't know why, but I am. Hopefully somebody logs on. I did post this, right? I don't even know, guys, if I posted it. I hope I did. Let's see. Yeah, I posted it. All right. So hopefully some of you will come in and say hi and talk to me during this live stream. But I'm just going to, let me just check the volume on my phone since nobody's on yet and make sure that y'all can hear me. The oddest thing happened a while ago. My alarm for starting my live came up 8 minutes late. What's up with that? I have no idea. Okay, I think you guys can hear me just fine. All right. Oh, good. Thanks, Dawn. I was like, is anybody going to come? All right. So Dawn is on. All right. So we're going to be doing this on wood. This is a 8x10 piece of wood that I've pre-gessoed. I just used white and black gesso, so I made a light gray. So just typical Liquitex gesso. I have it in white and I have it in black. I didn't have much white left. I need to buy some more. So I decided just to make a gray. So it's just put on there just as a primer. And I did the sides, but I didn't bother doing the back. I will paint the back when I'm done, but I don't usually bother until the end. So it's just a piece of pine. So like I said, we've got our deer ready. So let's go ahead and get the camera pulled up top so we can get started. Y'all can see everything in the right direction and we'll start a new painting. All right, 1 second. Make sure I have it large enough. I think I do. The tripod was set up for my journals, but I think it's fine. See a little bit of my mixing palette. This is for anyone who's new, this is a New Wave glass palette. I don't know if you can see that. New Wave. Waiting for my camera to catch up. Yeah, okay. So that's what I like to use. And then I just have a cloth for wiping off water and stuff. And like I said, my 8x10 board and our reference photo. I have this printed on photo paper so the color is better. When I print it on my regular copy paper, it's a little dull. So I always print a good one and then I just keep that one for a backup. All right, so our first step, of course, is to start the background. And I haven't really decided what I want to do. He kind of blends into this background. Don was telling me the story about how he saw this deer, and he was actually driving, and he saw it down in a clearing. It was laying down, and he thought it might be sick or something, so he walked down to see what was going on, and the deer like just kind of sat up and started staring at him, and then he like stood up, and then he approached him, and he's like fumbling for his camera, and it was a very, very interesting story. But he was like, it was just amazing because the deer just stood there and like stared at him for forever, and then it just kind of walked away slowly. So anyway, but the background is a little bit busier than I think I want, just so that he shows up better. So I think I'll make it maybe a little more muted, a little more out of focus. I'm not sure about the colors. I'm just going to play with them and see if I can get something that looks okay. And we'll go from there. I debated on even putting a little bit of like hint of snow in the background. But I'm not sure. The whites in this look a little blue, and that's just because it's probably evening time or something, or a shaded area, so they tend to go a little more blue. But I'm not sure if I'm going to do them quite that blue. We'll see. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. So let's just start grabbing some colors. We're probably just going to go with some browns, reds, greens, or maybe not red, maybe some, let's see, what do we got? We have burnt sienna, red oxide, maybe both. I've got some raw sienna, of course burnt umber. I don't know if I want to go that brown though. Probably stick with these because the deer is going to be more burnt umber and then some lighter tans. Maybe more greens. Let's see, what do I got for greens? I have the Hooker's Green. It says Hooker's Green Permanent Hued. I'm using Liquitex Basics. I'm also using the Liquitex Heavy Bodies. It just depends on which one I have. I mix them all the time. Mostly because the Heavy Bodies are very expensive. So, hey Bonnie. So let's see. Let's just put down some of these colors. There's a lot of this in it. Well, we're just going to go for it because I really don't. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do. I love not having a plan. Not really, but we'll just throw down some color and see what we can make. I probably need something a little lighter too. I don't want to add white. Maybe some cadmium yellow. This is noisy. That's what it is. Raw sienna. Now I will try to keep a record of the colors I use in case anybody wants to do this. Now, if you do want to have access to some of Don's references as well as other photographers, I tend to get a lot of mine from a Facebook page called Free Reference Pictures for Artists. So you can go over there and join them. I can't send a link, I'm not allowed to, but you can just look it up and find it and join it. As far as I know, the group is still open, but it has great reference photos. And you do get anything on there. Of course, you have permission to paint, but if you're doing something where you're going to be showing the actual photograph, you always need to get permission from the photographer for that, because permission to paint it for yourself versus being able to show their photograph is not the same. I've got a lot of glare here. Let me see if I can get that off of there. That's just cadmium yellow medium. Is my camera that far behind? Wow, it took forever for it to show that movement. It didn't do much. I hate when they glare like that. I tried moving over a little bit more. All right. I'm going to probably zoom in anyway, but so I'm going to move this over. This tends to be messy when I do the backgrounds. It splashes a lot, so we'll see. I'm debating if I want another yellow or not. I might wait. I might just lighten up some areas after. So let's start with, we're going to try to kind of just pick a darker color from the background. There is a log across there, and then there's a tree right here. I think I'll go ahead and attempt to put those. I'm not sure I'm crazy about where it hits his head there, but I think it'll be all right. Like I said, I'm going to have it mostly out of focus. So the first thing I want to do is use my water mister just to wet this a little bit so that I can start. And then I think I'm going to use this hog-haired bristle brush. This is what I tend to use on my backgrounds if I'm doing like a loose, and then I will probably use one of these makeup brushes to soften it with. That's the plan. I have like 3 of them in case I need to switch back and forth. They're just the ones by Echo Tools, mostly because I like that brand. So let me put my reference out of the way because I really don't want to get it wet. Move these paints back over here. Was that the cat? No. I thought I just kicked the cat, but I didn't. He's laying on the bed. I hit something under my table. All right, let's just see if we can stick this up here. All right, let's see. So just a little bit of water. This was pre-gessoed more than 24 hours in advance. You always want to pre-gesso at least 24 hours in advance. Because, you know, that way it has time to cure and all that. So we're just going to kind of go for this, and we're just going to put a mixture of these colors. Let's start with probably mostly the browns. I might throw a little green in there now too, because it'll mix up and it'll turn a little bit brown. And I might put more in later. We don't want it to get too muddy. That's kind of a risk. I am putting it on somewhat thick because I want time to move it. And don't worry about the sides too much. I'll do those later. And then I want my brush. And this is a very, very light, flickery motion. Just barely touching the surface. See, I missed a little spot over there. I might try to get to it in just a second. Yeah, I think I do. I'm not blending it per se, I'm just softening it. So I don't want it to go away. All right, so there, we've got some oranges and some greens. I'm going to go ahead and clean this. I just dip a little bit of water to about there, and then I wash it out because I don't want to get it super wet, because I will probably be using it again. And there's no reason to soak those bristles. So I'm just squeezing it in my water. You can't see what I'm doing. And then once I squeeze it in the water, then I just take my microfiber and dry it out. And then it's pretty much ready to go. Honestly, at that point, it cleans it pretty good. Okay, so we're going to dry this, and then we might put one more layer. I got to figure out what to do about this light. It is really not cooperating today. Let me see if I can turn this other light on so I can move that one over. It's on. I'm just going to adjust it down. All right, so let's grab a blow dryer or something. We'll try the heat tool. Honestly, I haven't used the heat. Well, no, I like to have the cold blast, so I'm going to use my blow dryer. I don't like my paint to be hot when I go to paint on it, so. paintbrush rolls across the table and gets paint everywhere. So let me wash that out real quick before I make a total mess. So I have 3 waters off to my side here. I keep 3, that way I can do a rinse in the dirtier water and then the next to the clean water, and then after that the last water is for mixing with. Let's just clean my hand up there. I wiped the edge off. Like I said, I will paint it later. I like to paint it after I'm done, that way I can kind of match whatever I do on the top and not have to worry about touching it through the painting. Sorry, I know you can't see. I'm just getting this paintbrush where it rolled. All right, so there's one coat. That looks pretty. It's nice and fall, but that's a little darker than what I want. So I'm gonna lighten it up. Yellow, green. I'm not gonna do white yet because I think it'll get too muddy. So let's try some yellows and some greens. Kind of like this top area here. Maybe this color here, whatever that is. Let's see what's a lighter yellow. Cabin free yellow light, maybe. Try that yellow. Should mix okay with that. Debating if I want to add some white to it. I think I'm going to add some transparent mixing white to it. Transparent mixing white is, like it says, transparent, so it works well to make your lights go further without changing the color as much. So let's try a little of that. So let's see. I think I'm going to go some of this green and yellow, see what that looks like. Yeah, that's not bad. Maybe this yellow. Okay, I can live with that, I think. So green, yellow. I'm going to have to wet it again. Try to work fast. That is always the trick. Trying to work fast. And keeping it wet enough, because it does dry very, very fast. I don't know if I got enough water on there. Let's spritz it one more time. A lot of this will kind of disappear. We'll go with more of this tan color down here, I think. Try to leave most of the tree colors at the top. Just hints of, yellows. Let's see what that looks like. Let me add a little more of this darker color back. You can't mix it if it's dry, so you have to add color each time. Because it definitely will not do anything if it's dry at all. Alright, let's grab my brush. See what we have. Okay, it's not too bad. I might go with that. I think it's light enough that the deer will stand up off of it. Hopefully not too light. Debating if I want to do anything else to it. Let me rinse this brush again. Alright, let's try that. Gotta dry it again. hint at this tree. So it's kind of a gray. I need some black, maybe some of that burnt umber. So a little bit of black and some burnt umber. Not much, just a little. Oops. Get back in the bottle. And then we've got a little bit of white, transparent. Let's grab some opaque white too. I never did use that white. This is titanium white. Now, the trick is not getting those two mixed up. You know, I'm going to put my titanium white up here. Splashing. Okay, so now I have white spots. Okay. So the tree, for the most part, is about here. Not real worried about that. Just want to hint at a tree there. But we'll see where his little head hits though. So about here. So I'm going to put this fallen log across there. Yay big. And it's in front of that tree, so about there. And then it's got mostly a darker base and then a lighter top. And then this one, the light is obviously coming from this side. It's not real obvious on the deer, probably because it's dappled through the trees, but it's a little bit lighter on this side, so we'll say it's coming from that side. And let's make a gray. Bit of black, a lot of white, and I do want it fairly soft at this point, so I'm going to make it a little bit darker bottom area. So I'm going to use a little bit of that burnt umber and black, so I don't want it just totally black. I want it more on the brown side. About right. This brush is probably way too big, but that's okay. I'm going to try to put this on soft. So, and my chalk pencil just totally disappeared. It's okay. I can see where it is. So just a little bit of a brown hint at a tree across here. And then the top of it is a little bit grayer. Mic is driving me nuts. Let's go with some of this transparent. I'll try to soften this. It needs to be darker though. Just a little. Try not to go so dark that it takes away. I probably should have done that back tree first. Oh well, it's all right. Not a big deal. I'm just going to soften this a little bit. So I'm just going to use my brush, makeup brush. So I want it to be out of focus. I can always hint at the textures and stuff later. Okay, that's not too bad. Let me wash this out. This was a smaller one. This makeup brush is a smaller size. And then I want to do that one there, but I need to, I could probably go ahead and do it while it's wet. It'll be fine. So that tree, we're going to say that the brown is on this side. It's not real obviously brown or anything, but we're just going to make it brown. And then we're just going to work over to a white. Maybe it's a birch or something, I don't know. Okay, let's try that. it up a little bit. A little bit more than that. I just dabbed that off so it didn't have paint on it. Soften this side of this tree up. I'm trying to get it out of focus as I can. That's not terrible. Okay, that's good enough, I think. And I will probably add little bits of detail later. This is just the background, so it doesn't have to have a lot of detail yet. Okay, that's not too bad. It's a little weird because some low on. I don't like that area. So keep it like that. I like the greens. The reds and stuff are a little oranger than it is in the picture, but I could always darken that later. There is a little limb right here, but I don't think I'm going to put that limb. I think I'm going to leave that one off. Like I said, as it gets closer, I may put more detailed leaves and stuff here, but I'll paint those in. There is a twig up through here. I might put that, and I might put the twigs going across the back just to bring this tree a little further back. So I might go ahead and put those. And then there's a little twig here, but I'm gonna leave that one off. All right, so I need to switch brushes. It's too big. Let's see. Probably want a finer one. Let's see. This one. Just a round, I think. So those are mostly like a burnt umber black mixture. I might add a little bit more color to that log, but not much. Did I dry that? No, I need to dry that first. Let me dry that first. Ugh. I keep laying on my floor and then I can't reach it. That cool blast, it's just to cool it down, because you don't want it warm, because then your paint dries really fast. All right, so we'll make another mixture with the burnt umber and the black. I think I'm gonna clean this area up though. So let me just grab this transparent mixing white, move it over here, and I'm gonna clean this whole area. So I just need to spritz it and grab a paper towel. It seems weird to be painting, guys. I just, you know, through my life as an artist, I have gone through times where I just don't want to paint. I don't know why. I just don't get in the mood and stop painting. You know, I find another interest, whatever it is. And that's kind of been the way it's been since I was about 15 years old, when I pretty much first started painting. And it's okay as long as I don't let it go too far. I do find that the longer I go without painting, the more I kind of gotten hard. So I'm just, if I don't get these hard bits up, it will start flaking off into my paint. So it dried fast today. It's probably because I have the heater on. have to get all these little hard bits up first, then we'll continue. This whole area dried. That was not helpful. I'm making a mess. Okay. Trying to keep my mat clean. Okay, so I'm just going to take my liner brush and a little bit of burnt umber, which looks like I'm gonna have to grab some more. Where's my burnt umber? It's dripping down. There. A bit of burnt umber and a little teeny bit of black. And just mix a really dark brown. And I'll wet this brush. So I'm just going to hint at some of those. Actually, I wanted to do that white first. All right, rethink that. I want to do the tree a little bit more. I'm going to go with just some white and maybe raw sienna. No, that's a little too much. More white. Now it needs black or something. It went too brown. That's better. All right, so I'm just going to clean up that line in the back where the tree is. I don't want it super strong. This is going on a little bit more than I wanted. I'll just soften it in a second. I just want, the tree is a little stronger in the picture, so I just wet that brush. Wasn't getting it as out of focus as I want. But it does need to have a little bit of detail to it, so. Just a little. Just keeping everything in the same direction. Other side. Just a little bit of this brown. Not too much. Just a hint. And then I'm going to soften that too. Maybe softer than that. Grab some of that transparent mixing white. Tiny bit softer. Okay, I think that should be all right. Debating if it's still too strong or not. It might be. In reality, it would be in focus, because when a camera looks through things, it depends on the f-stop and all that. But when we look at it with our eyes, everything's still in focus. But I tend to paint from photographs, so a lot of things are out of focus. I'm going to add a little of the kind of leaves going on back there, so some of this green. We'll throw some white in it. I don't know if that's too much. Let's add a little bit of brown. How about this color? I don't want it to be crazy green. Oh, that really changed it. There we go. That's the color I want. It's kind of a sappy green, like greenish yellow, like sage or something. So I'm just going to add, I guess it's kind of like some grass and stuff going on back here. So I'm just going to add like some hints at, there's some grass back here and tufts. Try not to get too detailed. You have to keep it really wet. And then just a little through here, just not getting too detailed with it. But I don't want it completely soft either, so I'm just going to kind of layer it. Coming forward. And then a little bit down here maybe. There's some at the front of this tree, just a bit. A lot of this will be covered by the deer, but that's okay. I'm just going to hint at it. And then some browns, oranges. These will be just leaves and such. I might try to soften that just a little bit more. I'm just going to spritz it. That should soften it enough. Put through here. So I put it really, really soft at first, out of focus, but then I decided I wanted to have a little more detail than that. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm just going to add just a bit. So there's a hint that there's, you know, terrain back there. Not sure how much of this will actually show, probably not a lot. I'm just using my finger. Okay, and then I'm just going to hint at the top of this log. I'm going to put some white there again. Maybe just the transparent mixing white because I don't want to go too light. It's tricky keeping it soft. It really is. That's probably going to be covered up, but we'll try to blend it a little bit just in case it's not. That's not too bad. And then I want that dark brown color. And let's see if we can get some hints of some twigs. So I don't have this drawn or anything, so we're just going to go for it. And they're just random twigs across here. Branches from some sort of bush. Not dark enough. Fine line between dark enough and too dark. Okay. And some down this way. Nope. Just a couple little twigs through there. These are just kind of coming into this area. Not sure what they're doing there. There's one over here. Kind of goes. Just throw something there. It's very faded because I don't want it super strong. Okay. That's probably about right. Just little hints of some stuff at the base there. Make that just a fraction wider. I think that's about where his back is. Just one that comes around. I guess I'll throw it in there. Not sure if it'll actually show up or be covered. That's probably pretty good. Okay. Do I want more through there or not? Probably not. I don't want to go too busy. Decide on that grass back there. Might put just a tiny bit browner. Go about that way. I can't really tell what it is. I think it's grass, but it's hard to tell. So we're just gonna kind of try to make it look like a bush or something back there. I know it's very high, but it's in reality not. It's really still on the ground level. It's getting a little too perfect there. I hear the train. Okay. That's not too bad. Maybe just a little more brown through here. A little higher on that, I think. through here, we might add a little bit more, just hint at leaves. I'm not sure I want to use this brush. What do you think about that? Might use, what else do you got? I'll try to use this bristle brush. It might be too big. Let me use this one. It's a little bit smaller. And then just some browns and reds, well, oranges. What are those? Red oxide or something? I don't remember what it is. What is it? I can never remember the color. It's either burnt sienna or red oxide, one or the other. So just going to hint at some leaves. Try not to get too detailed. Let's head somewhere around here. There's my tracing. Let's see how far over I need to go. About there. I'll add a few colors to this too. And then really just kind of in through here. And some browns. Maybe even some more greens. I think that's below the deer there. And I'll probably soften the whole thing with a wash or something. A little more brown. So for these leaves, I'm just kind of dabbing. They're not going to be super in focus. Just a hint. Okay. Fix that tree. I really didn't want that leaf in front of it. There. It started out as a twig, but now it's a small tree. A little more green. Working that with probably some of this burnt sienna. More of a foresty green. There is still some green stuff going on through here. Even though it looks like it's fall, possibly. Late fall, early fall, it's all about the same leaf-wise. Don't think I'm going to go with winter. Okay, a little more through here, just a hint, a little more hint of leaves through here. And some of that brownish red color. look like a background. I didn't do much through here because that's where the deer is, so. That should be all right. And then tone it down or not. I might. Let me add just a little bit of, I might try to make a really light gray. Some transparent mixing white, I think. Let's see what that looks like. I'm gonna have to see if I can brush it on there thin. So I'm just gonna soften this up. Maybe I'll try this. I'm gonna try to see if it will allow me to do a light wash. That's not terrible. Okay, so just a light wash. Just to kind of tone everything down. So I'm just using a grayish black color. Yeah, that's good. All right, let me wash this brush out again. Okay, there's our background. I think that'll work. So hopefully it's not too busy. The goal was not to get too busy. And I just need to clean up most of this. Try to preserve what I can. Put that there. Most of it's dry. Should be good. Okay. So now we have to dry this. Sure it's good and dry before I go trying to lay the picture on. Have my tracing. I trace on my lives honestly because it saves time, and I don't know, I'd rather just get to the painting than to take an hour drawing it. That's just how I do it. If you don't like that, I'm sorry. Some people don't like it because I trace, but that's just the way it is. So my tree's a little over, that's fine, not a big deal. So this is just on some tracing paper. I just put the image on, I printed it on regular paper first, and then I put the tracing paper over it. and traced it out. And we're just going to put this on with, I think, chalk pencil. It's really wanting to warp on me. So I'm going to use my white chalk pencil. This is Pastel Chalk. And we're just going to go over the image. You could also use graphite paper. I don't know. I find the chalk pencil actually a little less messy than the graphite paper, so that's why I tend to use it. Am I backwards? No, I'm right. Okay. You want it on the back side. Make sure it's the right way. Yeah. Now, this tracing I did here is a little detailed. I don't need all this detail yet. Most of the detail on here, honestly, is just so I remember to think about things like direction of fur and things like that. Honestly, I could get away with just having the eyes and the nose and, you know, a line here or there and be fine, but I do like to have it all. So I'm just mostly getting this outline. What was under there? Probably glue. Hard on the pencil. I don't really need all these direction lines. Okay, so take this on. So I cut it out to the exact same size as my board. So it's easy to line it up when I need to do things. If I can get a hold of my tape, which I cannot. Just grab some more. I'm using this really light tack tape because it peels off this tracing paper easier than my blue tape. My blue tape tends to rip it. This one doesn't tend to rip it as much. So once you have it lined up, then you just need a stylus. So just a stylus. You could also use just a ballpoint pen. Ideally one that doesn't work anymore. And you're just going to trace it. I'm deciding which side I want. I think I want this side. So I'm just going to do the outside line so that I can get my base coat down. I'll double check that it's actually going through in a second here. Try to get this whole antler on and then I'll check. Maybe the antler and the ear so I don't have to move it too much. Yeah. It's going through just fine. Now it's not going to stick at all. This is a little bit thick on the stylus side, but my other side of this particular stylus tends to try to rip my tracing paper. It's too tiny. So I'm staying just inside the line to make up for that. Like I said, this is just, at this point, it's just for a base coat. Turn it around for this nose because it's pretty detailed. I'll probably put something here. And then I'll go ahead and mark out where the eye is. I think that was everything. If you keep one side down when you lift up your tracing paper, you can lay it back down easily. Not sure what I drew there. Sometimes I draw these lines and it's like, okay, what was that line? I don't know what that line was for. Oh, that's close. There's a little bit of the chalk on there, but it'll disappear with water. It's a little bit messy. If I want to wipe it off, I can. Just anywhere that it is, it'll just wipe off. And I'll clean it up as I go. For the most part, the paint going on it will make it disappear anyway. All right, so there's our outline, and we're just gonna start laying down our base coat. And for this, the base coat is going to be very dark because we are trying to pick up basically the under layer of the fur. So this darkest color that you see, I don't know how well you can see it underneath there, that's the color that you want for the underlayer. Okay, so that is basically burnt umberish. Probably doesn't need any black in it, but I don't know if I'm gonna put black. I'll put black in like the nose and places like that, but a lot of it's not going to need too much black. Just the burnt umber. So I'll grab a bunch of burnt umber. That's probably enough. We've already got black on here. Just wet everything again so it doesn't dry. And for this, you just want like a filbert or something. See if I can find one. Medium-sized filbert. All my filberts are small. What is this? Oh, we'll try it. It's an older brush. I've had this for probably 20 years. Let's see. So we'll just do. Let me grab some smaller. I'm gonna grab this. No, this that we just used for this nose. I'm just gonna do it in black for now. So I will lose most of that detail for now. Should be fine. Try to go around the nostril. All the detail will come later. Try not to go too wide because it's real easy to go too wide, and then as you lay more and more on, you just get wider and wider, and it's like, oh, that's not what I wanted to happen. I think it's about there. I put that bottom chin line down, but that's not really part of it. Let's see if I can keep that separation there where the nostril is, just to have it. If I lose it, it's not a big deal. I will figure it out later. I think it goes just a fraction further too much. Maybe about there. I know it doesn't look like anything now, so it won't. It's just, you know, that's part of the painting process. It's going to look hideous. There are ugly parts to painting, and that's just the way it is. So don't freak out if you're painting and you think it's looking horrible. Just keep going. It's all about layers. You can't really see too much of this black under here, but I'm going to put it anyway. And then I'll transition that to brown. I need to just pull this down here so I don't have to reach. Some over here. And then I'll transition over to that burnt umber. This brush is a little on the thick side. I don't know what I want to do with those eyes. Probably going to keep them black, so we'll just go around it with the burnt umber and then I'll come back with black. Now, I do try to go the direction of the fur at all times when I'm doing animals. So even on my base coat, if the fur goes sideways, like up here, then I try to go sideways when I'm putting it down. Because even these undercoats, the brush marks will show. So try to keep them in the right direction, at least for the most part. I do like my brush marks to show because I think it really adds to, you know, the texture and everything. Because acrylics, you don't get a lot of that with their acrylics as you do with like oil paints. You know, there's not as much texture going on usually. I do like to try to have some. You know, otherwise it just it looks like a print and not a painting. So try to keep that in mind. To figure out where this nose goes exactly later. So right now I know it's not perfect. So all this is down. Nose is tricky. Nose is kind of several directions. The bridge is like, it's kind of up and down in the middle part, but then on the sides it's kind of more out. So just, you know, I try to get close. And all through here, this goes this way. But that's what all those lines were on here. These are just directional things for me. It just kind of reminds me that that's the way the fur's going. Because it is very important. That's one thing that if you get the fur right and the directions, even just the hint of it, it really makes a big difference. There's white in here somewhere, which I'll have to come back and hit. Because I didn't trace it for whatever reason. So a little bump there. Try to get it. I didn't need that other brush. Just ended up using this one. It's a little small, honestly. Probably could have switched back to the other one. That's fine. We're not going to worry about it. Hopefully y'all are enjoying me doing a painting again. I know some of you have been asking. And then after that, after this is done, I'll be doing another journal. Got one picked out already. Okay. I'm going to do that. Where the white is, I think I'm going to do it mostly black. Because the undertones of that white tend to be pretty black. Let's see if I can figure out where it is. I'll have to dry this probably to do it. So I don't know if I can tell. It's just above the nose. About here. And then almost to the whole side. Not like there. It's about there. And I'll double check it in a second. See if that looks close. All right, let's do those little eyes. I need to switch brushes though. Paint out of this one. I'll try to keep my brushes as clean as I can as I go. They last much longer. Where is my liner brush? Where are you? You're here somewhere. Okay, there it is. So, black. Probably can't even honestly see the difference here, but I'm going to put it on there. Their eyes are very almond shaped. This one feels too small, but maybe it's not. Sometimes it's hard to tell. The lighting isn't great. Yeah, I don't know, it feels a little small. And I'll fine tune it as I go. Nose, I think I'm right. All right, let me dry that real quick so I can kind of see if I'm about where I need to be. And then I'll do the antlers and all that too. Just taking some of that off because it's kind of messy. Didn't really need all that. See if I can figure out those eyes. It could just be my tracing's a bit. Sometimes I like my eyes better than the actual tracing. I'm pretty sure it's a little small. So, like I said, it should line up to the outside. struggled with that nose area. A lot of times I miss things when I'm tracing. There should be a line right here where that mouth stops. There should be one there. For whatever reason, I didn't put it. And then that goes there. That goes about there. And then the top of the nose is up here. Let's see how close I am. Okay. Just trying to get it approximately as wide as it needs to be. I'm gonna put some brown, I think. Maybe I'll do gray where the mouth comes out there, just so I can see the difference. It's too dark, or too light, I mean. Like that. And then we'll put that nostril area in gray too, I think. Help me not to lose it. I don't know if I can see what I'm painting. Everything's drying so fast. Quit drying. This word there, and this word there. Mouth. Yeah, that eye's much lower. I don't think it's supposed to be that low. Put it back on. Must not have lined up because it's not right. We're just going to go with what I had to start with. But this one's going to be a little bit bigger. Just a tiny bit bigger. That seems better. Alright, and then the nose. It's more like this. And this. And that. It always looks so funny when you're at this stage, and it's like, it doesn't look like it's supposed to because there's no highlights or anything, so you can't see the contour. But it's close. Okay, let's do the antlers. Let's see, I really need like a small filbert, I think. Maybe I could use this, I'll try. We'll do them brown, I think, because they're mostly this kind of tan, because they don't have velvet on them at this stage. The velvet's been shed, and they're more the, that harder antler material. The last deer I did, the velvet was still on. So it did look a little bit different. This needs to be a little bit darker. It's just the tree showing through, so I don't want the tree to show through. Okay. Too far out. Not that wide. There. Forget how exhausting painting is. Probably because you concentrate so much. I can't tell if it's too fast. Paint's really dry. All right, let's see. I think that's about right. This part is just a tad narrow. Okay, I think that's better. Just wipe that real quick. Went too far out. Can't stay in the lines. To remember to turn it. Okay, what was that? You can't see it, but it just had a hair or something. Gonna make me pull that up, aren't you? I don't know what it was. Is it on here? It is. It's on my brush. It's like, there's like a little teeny tiny hair. Okay. Too many hairs in this room. Between me and the cat. What's going on there? There's a gap between that one, which I did not get. A little bit of a gap there. Which one is it? The first one comes over here. There's a good turn there, that's why. A little bit wider right there. And then it turns this Kind of, not that much. I'm failing at this antler. There. I have to put that gap back in there. I lost it. I don't know where it went. I think I'm too wide right there. Finding me. Hold on. I went too wide. Okay. And then where's that gap? It's like right here. See if I can clean it out. At least acrylic is easy to fix stuff. All right, so that goes. This one is the one that's confusing me. This one comes down. All right, so this one comes down here. That's that one. And then the outside one comes over like that. Just a tiny bit of gap there. And then it's a little bit wider. There. Still doesn't look right. It's still too much of a turn or something. That goes higher. Like that. Still funny right there. Really struggling with that turn. It's like this one right here. This one and this one is all one piece. And I've got it to where it's too separated and it's too far over here. Not sure what I did wrong there. But I need to get it right at this point or it will look weird further down the line. And then this seems like it's sharper down. If I can get it to clean off, it might not. I don't want to have to go back and do the background fix because it tends to show more. This whole piece and start over because it's not connecting right. All right, fix it. Try it again. Okay, what am I doing wrong? Brush just is it still wet? See if I can't line it up. I don't know what I did wrong, honestly. For some reason. Where is it? Very hidden. All right, down, down, over. This pieces together. Comes all the way in and down. And then that piece connects there. There's a little gap in there I didn't get. It's real subtle though. Doesn't line up at all. Almost lined up. That tip isn't lined up. Alright, let's see if I can get it. We shall try. Okay, so this comes over and then imaginatively goes down and connects here. And then this goes over. Connects there. Connects to that one. And over to that. Close. Top one's further up than that. Technically it's not that wide right there, but I don't know if I can fix it. I'll try. Let's see if I can get it off there or not. Back it off or not. Sometimes you can, but the longer it dries, the harder it is. Might need to use a cleaner brush. I have one, but I just don't know where it is. It's probably not in here. Try this full part. Is this strong enough? It's not strong enough. All right. I have a little, it's almost like a hard, plasticky kind of brush that is for this purpose. I just don't know where it is. Let's see, is it in here? Right there. I have 5,000 brushes. Aha. Found it. I don't know what it's called. What is it called? I don't know. All I know is it's kind of stiff, and I use it for cleaning a spot that I don't like because it's just stiff enough that it takes off the top layer. Without destroying everything. It was way too thick right there. Alright, where'd my paintbrush go? Is it this one? Hopefully. if I didn't lay it somewhere else. And I just washed it out. Alright, now, if I can get this one on right. I'm trying not to go too thick. I think that's better. All that time on one little antler. But if I don't fix it now, it'll look weird. It's still a fraction wide at the bottom there, but it's definitely better. It's a fraction wide there. When I put the highlights and stuff, I think I can get it to look right. Still, it's just bugging me right there. I think I got it. Picture's sticking. Alright, that seems alright, I think. That looks okay, that looks okay. What time is it? It's almost time to quit. At least we got our base coat down. Alright, I think I got the antlers right now. A little wide there, but I think it'll be alright. It's like the gap is just a tiny bit wider, like more open. I could just, once the chalk goes away, I think it'll really, I think it's just the chalk. I think that's all it is. Okay. Alright. The chalk, once this dries, I'll go through and clean off this chalk with some water, but it has to be dry, but once it's dry, then you can just kind of wipe it off. So I'll do that probably before the next live. But I think we are good. That is a good start. Trying not to get this wet because it will definitely mess it up. We got our base coat, we got our background. I think we are good. So we'll stop there. I'll be back on Wednesday. And we'll work on it some more. Did I use this one? No. Put that back. Use that one, I use that one, I use that one. Okay. Let's make sure I clean the right ones. And then I think I use these two. Alright. So, there's our base coat. Paint everywhere. It's very dark, but at least on you guys' view. If you look really close, you can kind of see more. There is some separation going on in there. It's not just solid. Alright guys, I will be back on Wednesday. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your evening. And I will see you guys then. All right, take care. Bye-bye.